Good morning. I hereby call to order the Board of Directors meetings of the New Jersey Transit Corporation, New Jersey Transit Rail Operations, Inc., New Jersey Transit Bus Operations, Inc., New Jersey Transit Mercer, Inc., and New Jersey Transit Morris, Inc.
Good morning. Please mute your phones and turn your attention to the public safety announcement.
At New Jersey Transit, your safety is our highest priority. Please listen to these safety instructions in case of an emergency. In an emergency, announcements will be made over the loudspeaker or by a uniformed police officer. The primary exit for this location is the stairwell adjacent to the elevators, which can be located by exiting the boardroom and proceeding through the glass doors. There is a second alternate staircase that can be accessed through the door at the front of this room to the right behind the board dais. New Jersey Transit Police will administer CPR and use the defibrillator located near the elevator if necessary. Fire extinguishers are located in the front and back of this room. Please be guided by the directions of the New Jersey Transit Police and staff. As a reminder, members of the public are not permitted to approach the dais and should only share board meeting materials with New Jersey Transit staff at the reception desk. Thank you and have a safe day.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will now take roll call. Board Member Brown.
Here.
Board Member Doshi. Board Member Gordon.
Here.
Board Member Morocco.
Here.
Board Member Medina.
Here.
Board Member Thomas.
Here.
Board Member Weiss.
Here.
Board Member Keenan.
Here.
Board Member Giblin.
Here.
Chair Gutierrez Scacchetti.
Here.
For the record, Vice Chair Carson and Board Member Nara are absent. Board Member Medina is participating remotely. This is a meeting of the New Jersey Transit Corporation and its affiliates and subsidiaries. Adequate notice has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act and NJ Transit's enabling legislation. Notice was filed on May 4th, 2023 with the Secretary of State and sent to newspapers of general distribution, posted in the main entrance of NJ Transit's headquarters, published on the corporation's website, and sent to each individual agency and organization that requested such notice.
May I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the April 19th board meetings?
Move, Daniel. Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Megan, please take a roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Board Member Doshi. Board Member Gordon.
Yes.
Board Member Morocco. Board Member Medina.
Yes.
Board Member Weiss.
Yes.
Board Member Keenan.
Yes.
Board Member Giblin.
Yes.
Chair Gutierrez Scacchetti.
Yes.
Motion carried.
At this time, I would ask President and CEO Corbett to present his monthly report.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair and members of the board, and good morning to all the members of the public joining us both here in person and online. I'll begin again today with a ridership update. We remain relatively steady system-wide since my last report in April. Overall system-wide ridership remains at approximately 75% of pre-COVID levels, with specific ridership levels on bus, rail, and light rail in line with last month's report for both weekday and weekends. Beyond bus, rail, and light rail, I would also like to note that our Access Link paratransit service is at approximately 80% of pre-COVID level, in line with both bus and light rail ridership. And speaking of Access Link, we have some good news today for our Access Link customers. Today I'm proud to announce that NJ Transit is launching a new pilot program partnering with Uber and Lyft in regions 2 and 5, which includes Essex, Morris, Union, Somerset, Burlington, Gloucester, Camden, Salem counties, and part of Cumberland counties, through this new pilot program called Access Link's Rider's Choice, Uber and Lyft drivers will now be able to supplement Access Link service as needed, but only if the customer opts in to utilize the pilot program. Customers who do not opt in will continue to have all their trips serviced by current Access Link providers. The goal of this pilot program is to improve the Access Link travel experience by expanding options for our customers while reducing waiting time and trip times, and while also making it more cost-effective for NJ Transit. Customers can visit njtransit.com/accessibility for more information. And as warmer weather approaches, we are now pleased to announce the resumption of service to Monmouth Park Racetrack this month. Rail service to Monmouth Park Station will resume on our North Jersey coastline this Saturday, May 13th, for the start of the live racing season, and will continue to the end of the season on September 10th. We are also offering a great discounted round-trip transportation package to the racetrack, which includes general admission and an official racing program. For more information on this, please visit njtransit.com/Monmouth Park. This package represents yet another fun way NJ Transit is working to attract customers back to our system. Speaking of fun reasons to ride transit, NJ Transit continue promoting the benefit of public transit to the next generation by offering complimentary rides for children on Take Your Children to Work Day. On April 27th, 2 children up to the age of 18 traveled free on our system with each fare-paying adult. We are pleased to participate in this national education event, which promotes career explorations and highlights the benefits of using transit to commute. Moving on to our agenda this morning, today the board will vote on making a series of service enhancements on 8 bus routes throughout the state: the 26, 58, 115, 154, the 412, 455, 457, and 603, part of our regular Sunday schedules. In 2021, we piloted the addition of Sunday service on each of these routes, none of which previously operated on Sundays. Customers have responded very positively to these pilot enhancements. We recognize that in order to continue to draw riders back to transit, it's essential to offer reliable service with sufficient frequency to meet their needs and get them to where they need to go when they need to be there. I'd like to take a moment now to report on 2 legislative budget hearings I attended over the past week at the State House in Trenton, along with our board chair, Commissioner Gutierrez-Scachetti, who's also NJDOT Commissioner. And both hearings covered NJ Transit's proposed fiscal year 2024 operating budget and other areas such as service, infrastructure projects, technologies, and sustainability. This was my 6th time testifying before the Senate and Assembly budget since I joined Transit in 2018. I was again proud to represent the agency in front of our legislators. We're by no means resting on our laurels. I was pleased to highlight the substantial progress we have made together over the past 5 years. We, of course, discussed the projected budget challenges we are facing in the outer fiscal years, which I note is not just in NJT Transit alone. It is a challenge facing transit agencies across the country, and one we are committed to resolving with a holistic approach that ensures an operating model that continues to offer safe, reliable, affordable, and sustainable transportation across the state. Our prudent use of federal COVID relief funds has allowed us to fully fund 4 full years of fiscal year's operating budget cycles, providing us with time to prepare for any mitigations we may need to address in fiscal year 25 and beyond. Unlike many other agencies around the country whose funding has already been or will soon be exhausted, as Commissioner Gutierrez-Scachetti has shared publicly, we are committed to a comprehensive internal analysis to identify opportunities for efficiencies, while we also await to see how the federal government will respond, as most transit agencies realize it is not a burden that they or their states or municipalities can solve on their own. That said, we will continue to confront the future fiscal challenges before us with the same zeal and commitment we demonstrated when faced with the dire operational challenges that we were up against when I first arrived. While we're committed to looking for efficiencies, I noted in my testimony that one thing is for certain: public transit is a people business. Towards that end, NJ Transit is equally committed to training and preparing the next generation of transit professionals and leaders, while promoting the adoption of best industry practices throughout the country. In last month's report, I highlighted NJ Transit's role in establishing the International Association of Public Transport, UITP's first ever North American Regional Training Center, at the headquarters of Rutgers University Center for Advanced Infrastructure and Transportation, right here in New Jersey. Today, I'm pleased to note that this year's 4 courses are now all open for registration. And the courses include Public Transportation Fundamentals from July 10th through the 12th, Electric Buses, Fleet and Infrastructure Planning, Operations and Maintenance from September 27th through the 29th, Rail Operation and Maintenance from October 2nd through the 4th, and Ticketing and Fare Management from November 6th through the 8th. The easiest way to register is to visit njtransit.com/UITP and follow the link to UITP's registration page. I would also like to take a moment to acknowledge that the month of May is federally designated to honoring 3 communities that are increasingly relevant to our organization and the communities we serve: Jewish Americans, Asian American and Pacific Islanders, and older Americans. As we celebrate these communities, it's important to acknowledge NJ Transit's ongoing commitment to diversity and inclusion. We have made great strides in this area, thanks in no small part to the hard work and dedication of our company members served, called WAVES. Building an inclusive organization is one of the 5 overarching goals in our 10-year strategic plan, NJT 2030, and I'm proud of our commitment and what we've been able to accomplish in that regard so far. I'll conclude this morning with a truly proud moment for NJ Transit as we once again are nationally recognized for our commitment to safety and security. On April 25th, at the American Public Transportation Association's Mobility Conference in Minneapolis, APTA awarded New Jersey Transit its prestigious 2023 Bus Safety and Security Excellence Gold Award, the second time in 3 years. There's only one gold award winner in each category, and we took home the gold out of all the transit agencies in the country, providing more than 20 million passenger trips annually. NJ Transit was chosen for our bus operations de-escalation training for frontline employees, which recently added a component from the New Jersey Transit Police Department. The training helps employees diffuse confrontational and volatile situations and provide guidance about how to best alert NJ Transit Police or local law enforcement to assault situations. Similar training is provided to NJ Transit's rail operation employees. In 2021, NJ Transit was honored with both APTA's Bus Safety and Security Excellence Gold Award and the APTA Rail Safety Certificate of Merit Award for commuter intercity rail systems. I'd like to thank and congratulate our Senior Vice President of Bus Operations, Mike Kilcoyne, our NJT Police Department Chief, Chris Trissello, along with Bus Deputy General Manager for Performance Assurance Training, Rebecca Peralta, and Mike Rubin, who is our employee court advocate and now works in our General Counsel's office as an Assistant General Counsel. It was our team's hard work and commitment to the safety of our employees and our customers that earned NJ Transit this national recognition. And with that, Chair, I conclude my remarks and turn the chair back to you.
Thank you very much, Kevin, and congratulations to all your team on that recognition. At this time, I would ask if there are any comments from the public.
There are 11 in-person speakers and 6 telephone speakers in the queue. Speakers, in order to give everyone an opportunity to be heard, comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Priority access will be given to pre-registered in-person participants, followed by any additional in-person speakers. We will then take comments from telephone participants who are queued to speak. Those participating by phone, if you have not already done so, please press *1 on your telephone keypad to enter the queue to speak. You will hear a brief tone to indicate you have successfully entered the queue. The first speaker is David Peter Allen, followed by Murray Bowden.
Good morning. David Peter Allen, Chair of the Senior Citizen Residents Transportation Advisory Committee, SCATTERTAC. This is our official report to you for this month. Since our committee was founded in 1984, we have advised the board and management at New Jersey Transit and other concerned individuals and organizations about issues concerning mobility for seniors and persons with disabilities who ride New Jersey Transit's trains, buses, and light rail lines, as well as Access Link Paratransit and the community transportation operated mostly by the counties in our state. We have always enjoyed a broad subject matter purview in making our suggestions, and that scope was recently reaffirmed. Accordingly, we want you to know that we want to hear about any questions or concerns you have regarding mobility on New Jersey Transit and its affiliated providers for our constituents. That could be about funding, connectivity, accommodations required under the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA, accessibility, service issues concerning New Jersey Transit fixed route services, Access Link, or community transportation, or related topics. We consider it vital to our mission that we give any and all of you the opportunity to tell us about your concerns regarding issues such as these, because that enables us to give you our best advice. I would like to add that expanding bus service, including on Sundays, or maybe even especially on Sundays, helps improve mobility for our constituents. Although you hear reports every month from the North and South Jersey advisory committees Our committee differs from those organizations because our meetings are open to non-members who are interested in our efforts and concerned about our constituents, including our constituents themselves. We encourage you to ask questions or let us know about your concerns. We have recently heard a number of presentations by the local programs and community mobility management team here at New Jersey Transit, as well as by county providers who benefit from the Senior Citizens and Disabled Residents Transportation Assistance Program, ScatterTAP, the grant program that was authorized by the same statute that established our committee. We are learning about some interesting and innovative practices, and we will report to you about them soon. Needless to say, we want to learn more about the new Access Link Riders' Choice program that Mr. Corbett just announced. We have recently welcomed a new member who lives in Central Jersey, commutes to Brooklyn on New Jersey Transit and the New York Subway, and advises students who are pursuing their degrees while living with disabilities. He also uses Access Link as well as Access-a-Ride, its counterpart in New York City. In addition, he has police experience, which I believe is a first for our committee. But while we have filled our Central Jersey quota, we are working on filling a vacancy in North Jersey. The managers with whom we work are starting an outreach effort in the northern region, and we would like potential candidates to contact us. We hold the majority of our meetings here at New Jersey Transit headquarters in Newark and others in Trenton or Camden. All of our locations are fully ADA compliant and accessible by using New Jersey Transit's fixed route services too. We also feature video conferencing at all of our regular meetings. Most importantly, this goes for all of you. We welcome your comments and suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Murray Bowden, followed by Jim Brown.
My name is Murray Bowden. I represent concerned grandparents, which means my grandchildren's generation, what kind of a world we live to them. I'll be 90 in June. My mind is going as good as I look, and so is my body. I have a wheelchair. On Friday, I get an electric wheelchair because I can't move this one. I may look good, but my mind's failing. I'm making mistakes. And what I've been doing for the last 50 years turns out to be the wrong thing. You all noticed about those railroad accidents that happened out the Midwest where in Palatine, it was an enormous thing. Why did they happen? Because nobody followed the rules. Nobody bothered to say, hey, there's a hot box there, stop that train. And what happened? Boom. Nobody was paying attention. My job is to get you sitting here at the board to pay attention. Now, when you go home and drive home tonight and you sit through a railroad crossing, you're going to see up there 2 sets of lights, flashing red and traffic lights. Hey, you don't have to be stupid to know distracted drivers need to be saying the same thing every time. Flashing red lights came because there weren't traffic lights. Today you got traffic lights in both. Why do you have the red lights up there flashing red? If you go down to Florida, you've got gates and where the bridges go up, traffic lights. Manhattan, you got traffic lights at the Willis Avenue Bridge. So why do you have the flashing red? Well, nobody told us to change it. I can't do it. They sent you here to do it. You look tonight, how when you go home on all of those as a symbol. That means Kevin hasn't been doing his job. You paid him to follow the rules, and he's not. He has a staff, is not. That means you need to replace Kevin. And unfortunately, it's your job, too, to make sure Kevin does his job. And you haven't done that either. That means the governor has to find somebody else to be a new commissioner of transportation, like it or not. I can't do it. It's the responsibility of every one of you at the board to go out there and watch how you drive home tonight. And if it doesn't make any sense to you, then do something about it. Get somebody new to run transportation both here and everywhere else. You want to build a bus garage? Go out to Denver Airport. They got a big tent. that covers it. Cost much less. You don't need a concrete floor. You're not running a roadway there. You need a small garage to fix the buses in, but you don't need a big garage to store them in. Go to Denver Airport. They got this massive tent. Oh, no, I speak too much. Right. This may be the last time I get here, and I'd like the same courtesy that the previous speaker had. He had no clock. Why'd you give me a clock? There's a disparity in the way you treat people.
Thank you. The next speaker is Jim Brown, followed by Ken Dolsky.
Good morning. My name's Jim Brown. I'm the General Chairman for the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers in Trayman. I represent approximately 500 engineers at New Jersey Transit. And we have been involved in contract negotiations for over 3 years now. And we have not received a raise since December 31st of 2019. Engineers at New Jersey Transit are paid significantly less than their counterparts at all major Class 1 passenger railroads. To give you a little perspective, here's some of the differences in hourly wages. Amtrak, we make $11.23 an hour less. Metro North, we make $13.01 an hour less. Long Island Railroad, we make $9.73 less per hour. Caltrain, we make $12.46 less per hour. And these, I'll have you know, these figures are going to increase because they're currently in negotiations now, and they're looking at raises. For 3 years plus, New Jersey Transit engineers just wanted to be paid the same hourly rate that other engineers are paid who perform the same job in the same location with the same cost of living. We're asking for no more, and we certainly want no less. New Jersey Transit will not negotiate in good faith. It will not even discuss an equitable solution. New Jersey Transit's position from the beginning of these negotiations is take what we offer or get nothing. This reduced pay does not go without consequences. The turnover of engineers is significantly higher than that of other Class 1 passenger railroads. This creates several issues, one being safety. We constantly have inexperienced new engineers operating. 2, when other railroads start to hire, we lose experienced engineers. And the cost to train someone to become a certified licensed engineer is in excess of $250,000 from what New Jersey Transit has told me. If you look back to 2018, you'll see trains being canceled due to a shortage of engineers. We do not want to create that situation again. This all while New Jersey Transit looks to rent the building that costs taxpayers an extra $200 million. It seems that New Jersey Transit has millions for penthouse views, but no money for train crews. The building that they own now, the building we're in, during COVID, had many upgrades and repairs done to it. My time is up. Many office workers have been working remotely and continue to do so. Meanwhile, the engineers who keep the trains running haven't had a
Thank you. The next speaker is Ken Dolsky, followed by Kristen Noel.
Good morning. My name is Ken Dolsky. I'm with Don't Gas the Meadowlands Coalition, and I'm here as usual to talk about the transit grid. About 2 weeks ago, our coalition met with John Geithner and Paul Wyckoff of New Jersey Transit to discuss the strategy report. I want to thank you both for making the time to meet with us. We learned a lot. One of the most important things we learned is that New Jersey Transit Management, and especially this board, have abdicated their oversight roles on the transit grid project to the bidders. We were told that transit was technology agnostic and technology decisions were entirely up to the bidders. In other words, transit does not care if it builds a fossil fuel plant that harms the health of its neighbors and does not care if it increases the damages from climate change. It's all up to the bidders. None of this is transit's responsibility. We asked how you were going to deal with Governor Murphy's new executive order requiring 100% clean energy by 2035. The answer was the bidders will figure it out. We asked how transit will deal with higher than expected costs and the potential risk of having no funds to make its transition to clean energy, especially considering your expected budget shortfalls, and the answer was the bidders will figure it out. We asked how any bidder could effectively bid a solar-based solution without the aid of the main property owner, transit. And the answer was the bidders will figure it out. We asked how transit will deal with the new EJ law that is aimed at reducing pollution in historically overburdened communities, and the answer was the bidders will figure it out. We asked to what extent PSE&G's Energy Strong program, raising all substations to eliminate flooding as a cause of power failure, impacted transit's thinking on the need for this project, and the answer was the bidders will figure it out. By the end of the meeting, I was going to suggest that transit ask these benevolent, brilliant, Renaissance-like bidders to solve climate change, eliminate gun violence, and fix the U.S. debt ceiling problem, or at least fix the transit budget shortfall. The bottom line, especially for this board, is that the only oversight we see on this project is us, the climate people advocates. We are doing the job of this board. We are fighting for a clean solution to protect the health of your neighbors. We are demonstrating a path to a low financial risk and technical solution. We have shown how much transit can profit from a clean energy solution. We have proven the feasibility of a complete hybrid solar storage gas turbine solution using transit property for solar and storage. As far as we can tell, you, the board, have done nothing except parrot management's lame excuses for building a gas plant. Isn't it your job to ask questions about all these issues and require answers? Isn't it your job to protect the health of the people living near New Jersey Transit facilities? Isn't it your job to ensure that management makes the most cost-effective decisions and avoids stranded assets? Isn't it your job to ensure transit is at least not making climate change worse? Evidently not, as you sit here year after year and do what management tells you to do, which is mostly to keep silent or make absurd excuses for management's decisions. How many of you would even be aware of
Thank you. The next speaker is Christian Noel, followed by Samantha DeFalco.
Good morning. My name is Chris Noel. I'm from Fort Lee. I'm with the Empower New Jersey Coalition. We call on New Jersey Transit to amend the RFP for the New Jersey Transit microgrid project so that the project design is primarily driven by a renewable energy-based hybrid microgrid. According to the IPCC, climate pollution from the world's existing coal, oil, and gas projects is already enough to launch the planet past 1.5 degrees Celsius of warming. Without immediate and deep emissions, reductions across all sectors, and deep emissions reductions across all sectors, limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius is beyond reach. The IPCC also states that climate justice is crucial because those who have contributed least to climate change are being disproportionately affected. New Jersey's environmental justice law states in the first paragraph, edited for length, the legislature finds and declares that all New Jersey residents, regardless of income, race, ethnicity, color, or national origin, have a right to live, work, and recreate in a clean and healthy environment. That historically, New Jersey's low-income communities and communities of color have been subject to a disproportionately high number of environmental and public health stressors. That, as a result, residents in the state's overburdened communities have suffered from increased adverse health effects, that the adverse health effects caused by pollution impede the growth, stability, and long-term well-being of individuals and families in overburdened communities, that the legacy of citing sources of pollution in overburdened communities continues to pose a threat to the health, well-being, and economic success of the state's most vulnerable residents, and that it is past time for the state to correct this historical injustice. And the new Stratogen report shows that a renewable hybrid microgrid as a renewable solution for the transit grid project is technologically feasible, economically beneficial, less risky to human health and the environment, and more reliable than a gas plant. Yet, in the face of all of this, you continue to pursue a gas power plant. I want you to think about intent versus impact for a second. So you may claim that you do not intend to harm the low-income minority communities of New Jersey, but that is what the impact of a gas power plant would be. The fact that you know this is the case would make you complicit in their suffering, and you might as well intend to harm them. We all know Governor Murphy has authority over this agency and that he appointed you and can replace you. It would seem that he is allowing you or directing you to pursue a gas plant. And so it seems to me that you are essentially just Governor Murphy's chumps. And you're just doing what you're supposed to do. You're pushing a harmful solution and taking the public beating for him. I guess hoping he'll reward you in a few years if he becomes president or something. It's a shame that you lack integrity and compassion and that you're willing to sell out the people of New Jersey and the planet who are already suffering disproportionately. But that's me, and I could be wrong. Maybe it's a terrible tragedy. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Samantha DeFalco, followed by James Crawford.
Hi, good morning. My name is Sam DeFalco, and I'm an organizer with Food and Water Watch, speaking on behalf of our 72,000 members and supporters across New Jersey. Like the previous two speakers, here again this month to urge the Transit Board to take action in changing the direction of the transit grid project. We've been here month after month and, raising the same concerns. We know that there's a procurement process, but we also know that the procurement process is not going to deliver a solution that makes sense for the world we live in today. As Ken Dolsky mentioned, we had this meeting a couple weeks ago with John Geithner, and it's clear from that meeting that New Jersey Transit is not doing its due diligence to ensure that this project is done in a way that prioritizes renewable energy as directed by Governor Murphy back in 2020. We have this new environmental justice law, which, came into effect less than a month ago. And the governor, came out with an executive order several months ago to, make sure that we cut down our emissions. And it's clear that New Jersey Transit is not ensuring that this project is going to be in line with those goals and these commitments and these laws. By leaving this up to the bidders, we're going to wind up with a solution where a gas plant is central to this project. By having this RFP be technology agnostic, while providing no guidance in terms of renewable energy development, we're going to wind up back where we were in 2019 before this statement from the governor that, led New Jersey Transit down this new path and this new opportunity. And all the while, millions of dollars are being spent And we're going to either wind up in a situation where either this project is going to be a major affront to climate and environmental justice, or it's going to be a stranded asset that's not going to be compatible with the world we're going to be living in 5 or 10 years. And at that point, millions of taxpayer dollars will have been wasted. So really urge you to, use your voice on this board to make sure that this project direction changes. And just speaking as myself for a moment, want to urge the board to do what you can to ensure that a fair contract is reached with the union members here today. You talk about transit being a global leader in innovation and technology and, a leader in transit, but unless workers are paid fairly and can support their families, it's not the, urge you to reach a fair contract with them. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is James Crawford, followed by Paula Rogovin.
Hi, my name's Jim Crawford. I'm a resident of Hawthorne, New Jersey. I took the train down here and I walked to the station this morning. And I'm here to talk about the power plant project and just learning, right? So we hear that there's a competitive bid, or let's say a bidding process, but we really need to see the power of the competitive bid, I think, because that's what bidding is all about, right? The power of the competitive bid. I worked on Wall Street for a quarter of a century, and the power of the competitive bid was really powerful, right? We used complex models for buying, 9120 collars on S&P 500 futures, but we didn't need a model when we had a real competitive bid process, right? So if the bidders are really not opening up the bidding process to a fair competition, then it's not really a bidding process. Just pointing that out with my little pea brain. So we need to do that. We need to have a real, ascertainment of the virtues and the benefits of the options there, unless, of course, the bidders have been somehow captured. So I'm just pointing that out, and I want you guys to know that because we're all here to learn, right? Does that make sense? I hope it does. Anyway, thanks for listening. I'm going to go back home now on the train. See ya.
Thank you. Next is Paula Rogovin, followed by Sid Madison.
Good morning. I'm, as a member of the, proud member of the United Federation of Teachers, retiree chapter. I taught 44 years in New York City. I personally support the Brotherhood of Locomotive and Engineers and Trainmen in their fight for a fair and a decent contract. It's really, really sad that they have to fight for decent wages. On the issue of the gas plant, the Strategy report commissioned by Empower New Jersey, representing well over 100 organizations statewide, analyzed and compared New Jersey Transit's proposal for a gas plant in Kearney to a renewable energy alternative. 5 of us were at that April 28th stakeholder meeting with transit staff. It was a meeting we had requested. The transit representative asked a number of questions about the Strategy report, but transit asked and said nothing, absolutely nothing about Strategy's analysis of the costs of climate change and health impacts. So I read this from the Strategy report regarding environmental and social benefits. Strategy's renewable plan, in their plan, there would be $193 to $346 million in avoided climate change impact costs, $7.6 million to $14.3 million in savings by reducing local health and morbidity impacts in environmental justice communities. Think of the money that could go to the transit workers, the rail workers. Transit's silence about this at the stakeholder meeting was so incredibly disappointing and upsetting because those issues about climate and people's health have been the essence of our protests at these board meetings. You know that. At our rallies, at marches, and in the many resolutions opposing the gas plant, resolutions passed by many towns, and in the sign-on letter from many elected officials. As you know, we are deeply concerned about the impact of yet another polluting facility in Kearney and in the region, an area already overburdened by polluting facilities, an area where people are already suffering from health impacts of pollution. And we're concerned about climate impacts, the fires, the storms, the drought, the heat. My town of Teaneck actually had one of those wildfires recently. A few of you on this board have said publicly you are really concerned about climate change and impacts of pollution on people's health. Yet, once again, calling on the administration to revise the RFP is not on your board agenda. For 44 years, I taught my kindergarten and first grade students to stand up for what is right. It has been heartbreaking to me and others that the transit board is leaving the bidding up to chance.
Thank you. The next speaker is Sid Madison, followed by Sally Jane Gellert.
Sid Madison, Piscataway. When I'm long gone, my grand and great grandkids will know that I raised over $30,000 for climate action. I donated even more, attended many rallies, spoke at some, was arrested for nonviolent direct action many times. What will you be known for? With greater power and visibility comes greater responsibility. What will you be known for? On the current path, as indicated by others, billions will die from climate change. Greater action is needed. New Jersey continues to allow more fossil fuel infrastructure to be built. The BPU studied and knows no more is needed. No more is needed. With greater power and visibility comes greater responsibility. Tell Governor Murphy to immediately enact a moratorium on fossil fuel infrastructure in New Jersey. What will you be known for? With greater power and visibility comes greater responsibility. Tell Governor Murphy to immediately enact a moratorium on fossil fuel infrastructure in New Jersey.
Thank you. The next speaker is Sally Jane Gellert, followed by the telephone speakers.
Good morning. Sally Jane Gellert, Chairperson Lackawanna Coalition from Woodcliff Lake. I'm talking about communication and misconnections. There is simply no excuse for incompetent communication. Somebody who has New Jersey Transit's smartphone app, checks their website, calls their service center, or arrives at the station and either looks at displays or is waiting for 5 minutes or more should have full information on all relevant details. If someone uses your trip planner and a normal route is not available for any reason, that information should be displayed and conspicuously noted as trip not possible. Colleague Jesse Gribbin has an article on misconnections in the current issue of our Railgram newsletter and says, quote, over the past year I've taken maybe a dozen round trips on the River Line. 4 of those trips had a canceled, missing, or substantially delayed train with all available information services indicating that service was normal. That's not just bad, it's almost dystopian level of ludicrous. I do want to point out a positive experience on a mainline train on April 29th. Our Morrison Essex train was held back and would miss the scheduled connection. As I mentioned in the current railgram, I asked the conductor if the connecting train could be held for us. He made the call, ensuring that I and others made our connection. I appreciated not having to wait an extra hour in Secaucus. Another concern is communication of service alerts and advisories. Put simply, service advisories for planned work that affects schedules should become service alerts as soon as they are known, at least the day before and certainly during every day that schedules are affected. A posted on-time status when trains are not running is simply unacceptable. A problem has to leap out as a service alert during the time it's happening. This needs to be general policy change, at least when schedules are affected. In addition, for rail, alerts should include both time and train number. Occasional riders are not likely to know their train number. Regular riders may or may not, but it's good to include the train number, but along with the time for educational purposes. Our colleague Greg Bender reports, on Monday, I'm not sure which date, I commuted from Bound Brook to Elizabeth on the Raritan Valley Line via Newark. Took 6:30 a.m. express to Newark, 6-minute connection to train to Elizabeth. All on time and all worked perfectly. I even got coffee at Newark Penn. Coming back was similar, an 8-minute connection at Newark, all on time. They can do it if they try. Regarding the Sunday service on the bus lines, apparently you need to vote on it because it's a formal process, but honestly, you shouldn't be having to discuss and vote on this. There's so much more to do. There are decent products to extend needed rail service to places like Englewood, Glassboro, points in Middlesex, Ocean and Morris, West Trenton, or extend electrification to Bayhead, or improve Princeton Dinky service instead of killing it. Further, after having no weekend rail service from Bay Street to Montclair State, which is now a desert for public transportation on Saturdays and Sundays, NJ Transit appears unable or unwilling to even continue the former weekend decamp bus operation through that territory. Thank you.
Thank you. Operator, we would now like to open the floor for public comments by telephone participants.
Thank you. As a reminder, if you have not already done so, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad to enter the queue to speak. You will hear a brief tone to indicate you've successfully entered the queue. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes for their public comment. A warning will be provided with 1 minute remaining, and again with 15 seconds remaining. There are 13 comments. There are 13 public comments in queue at this time. The first public comment is coming from Matthew Walsh. Matthew, your line is live and your time will now begin.
Good morning. Walsh, I'm a longtime member, volunteer member of the New Jersey Association of Railroad Passengers, and I've been a member of the board of directors there for the past year. My primary area, I have several areas of concern. I want to discuss the changing demographics of the inner ring suburbs of New Jersey. But first of all, I'm going to go back and what the previous speaker was talking about, Englewood, which is an inner ring suburb. I was there recently, and I noticed the incomplete rail line there. They've been investing there. People have been investing in Englewood. They're actually building along the contours of the rail line with the expectation of having rail service there, and it's been languishing. So we're letting down investors, and we're also letting down new residents who want to take public transit. Then I'll move on down. The inner ring suburbs, other inner ring suburbs that are undergoing a tremendous population boom, and you can see the residential apartment construction before your eyes. This is confirmed by the decennial census, U.S. Census Bureau of 2020. I'm sure it's increased in the past 3 years since that time. Importantly, I'm off the top of my head, Hackensack. Right along the projected Passaic-Bergen light rail line, which, as I understand, all EIS studies and everything else has been complete. It's been languishing. They're building there. People are moving there. There isn't the Pascack Valley line is there, but it's on the other side of town. It has infrequent service. People are moving there. So we're going to compel all these people to drive. And I don't care if it's electric cars or tailpipe emissions or worse. Electric cars still provide traffic jams, and these areas are already congested with traffic. And similarly, the following 3 towns, North Newark, Kearney, and Arlington, all located on the
1 minute remaining.
Garden State Greenway, formerly the Norfolk Southern Rail Line. The governor originally was going to acquire that for rails and trails. In other words, it was going to be a trail, bike trail, walking trail, and also a potential light rail connection between Montclair through Newark and Hudson Bergen Light Rail. on the waterfront. And there's 3 highly congested towns there: North Newark, Kearney, Arlington, all undergoing tremendous population explosion, residential construction. Are we going to compel these people, all these people, to drive everywhere? What are they going to do? We have, and the right-of-way is already there. We don't have to condemn it. We don't just need a greenway. I'm all for bikes and walking trails. We also need rail. And we don't need, otherwise, are we condemn more property for more roads? We have enough roads in the state. We have rail infrastructure. We have rail rights-of-way. They're languishing. Let's use them. We're a densely populated state in a time of climate change. We can't drive our way out of this. I don't care if we run on electric or pulverized acorn shells. We need to have a different paradigm in the most densely populated state in the nation. Development and land use and public transportation and climate and the climate emergency all come together, and they can all be solved in the same manner. I really have nothing else to say there, except I hope we start moving on filling these gaps on light rail transit. We need to connect the Newark Light Rail with the Hudsonburg Light Rail Transit. We need that connection.
Thank you. The next public comment is coming from Brian Scanlon. Brian, your line is live, and your time will now begin.
Thank you. My name is Brian Scanlon. I live in Wyckoff, New Jersey. I was a regular user of New Jersey Transit for 35 years for my daily commute, and I use it now to get to Manhattan frequently in my retirement. I got my homeowner's renewal policy a couple weeks ago, and it's another whopping increase. We haven't had a single claim in the 28 years we've lived in our home. The insurers are struggling to adjust to the impact of climate change. I live 25 miles from the ocean, well above sea level, but no one is immune from increased flooding, wind damage, and wildfires caused by climate change. That's why I'm paying more. That's why we're all paying more, and we pay more in every aspect of our lives. Why am I telling you this? Because the New Jersey Transit Board appears to have adopted a whistling in the dark approach to the warming driven by fossil fuels and the cost it is extracting from all of us. As has been pointed out this morning, the environmental justice community surrounding the proposed plant will pay the highest price, especially with their health. The current RFP for the plant in Kearney to power a microgrid to run the train still has a dirty fossil fuel plant at its center. There is an alternative, and it's my sincere hope that you not dismiss it out of hand. The compelling report by Strategen Consulting, which you have been provided, shows that the best solution to power the microgrid consists of solar, battery storage, and only a small-scale gas turbine. The solution is not only technologically feasible, but more resilient, more economical, and will help us address climate change and the havoc it's causing. You'll be judged by the decision you make, you'll be judged by the decision you make, whether it's one which is a step towards addressing climate change or one which makes it worse. I'm asking you, please make the right decision. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next public comment is coming from Holly Cox. Holly, your line is live, and your time will now begin.
Hi, I'm Holly Cox, a 24-year New Jersey resident. I'm here to urge you to pay your workers a livable wage and to also ask Governor Murphy and NJ Transit why you're not redesigning your microgrid project to be powered by renewable energy, which the Strategen report shows is technologically feasible, more economical, and better for our health and climate. Why have you not responded to the new report, which shows that a combined system of solar, battery storage, and a backup gas turbine, only to be used in true emergencies, is a feasible alternative for meeting NJ Transit's operational needs during severe weather events? Why haven't you revised your RFP to specifically solicit bids for renewable energy hybrid microgrid solutions? Do you see the immorality and danger of adding more pollution from another fossil fuel plant to an overburdened community? Although Governor Murphy announced an accelerated target of 100% clean energy by 2035, neither he nor you has any plan to get us there. If you build your fossil fuel plant, when will it be completed and how long do you expect to operate it before you need to start transitioning to clean fuels to comply with the 2035 target? How much do you estimate it will cost to convert your gas plant to a clean plant? What is your response to the finding that a renewable energy system could realize hard profits ranging between $45 to $85 million from 2028 to 2050? What is your response to the finding that a fossil fuel project could face losses of $42 million and only up to $29 million in profits over the same period? What is your response to the finding that avoiding emissions from 2028 to 2050 by operating a renewable energy system instead of fossil fuels could save between $193 to $346 million in climate change impacts? What is your response to the finding that reducing pollutants from your plant could save another $8 to $14 million locally in health and morbidity impacts? Where is your evidence that a gas plant is financially, environmentally, technically, or socially superior to a renewable hybrid microgrid? Do you see the climate chaos unfolding all around us? Stronger and more dangerous storms damaging our property and killing our residents, extreme weather events, hottest days on record in all history, wildfires already burning over 8,000 acres this year so far, according to NJ Forest Fire Service. NJ sea level rise at twice the national average. Our state and planet are literally on fire all around us, and no one, including you who are in a position of power, is doing anything at the scale required to keep our planet habitable. Given the financial reality of a fossil fuel plant, the climate crisis, the report's findings that a renewable plant is cleaner, safer, more resilient, and significantly more economical, how do you justify a fossil fuel plant in 2023? I call on Governor Murphy and NJ Transit to stop abdicating your responsibilities, to listen to the climate scientists around the world who all agree we have only about 6 years left to drastically reduce our emissions to keep our planet habitable, to step up and put in the work to live up to our state's climate and clean energy commitments, be climate leaders, and stop this disastrous fossil fuel proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. The next public comment is coming from Adam Reich. Adam, your line is live and your time will now begin.
Good morning. First off, I want to echo my support for ensuring that engineers are paid a competitive wage. Given the gains Mr. Corbett and his team have done with the engineers' roles, it would be awful to see that reversed. We should ensure that New Jersey Transit's engineer wages are competitive with area railroads. Secondly, on the agenda, item 2305-27 is the annual notice of meetings. A problem with this, as has happened before, is January 2024, when you have no meeting, it's bookended by 10 a.m. meetings, meaning that for those who are working and maybe cannot reasonably attend or participate in a daytime meeting, if after November 8th, their next opportunity to speak to the board is not until March of 2024. I ask the board to either make December or February a 6 p.m. meeting, or failing that, swapping it with another evening meeting if you really have to, or failing that, at least for whatever the next committee meetings are after January 2024, like the Operations and Customer Service Committee meeting, make them an evening meeting so that people can participate if they are working and unable to break away to talk to you. Secondly, I've said it before and I'll say it again, closed cars on trains remain an issue. Crews become combative if they don't have the quiet car open and they don't want to do it, or they make excuses. Well, I have to open the other cars gradually down the line, so I'm not going to make this last car on the rear of my train a quiet car. Sorry, even though the timetable says otherwise. There's also the issue of accessibility. Again, it often means at least one fewer bathroom than would otherwise be available. I stress that with quiet cars in particular, it's a service you advertise to riders in your timetables. It's something that we look forward to. It might be the only oasis people have between a hectic workday and whatever they may have in their family situation. So providing the service you advertise is critical. I know one rider has complained, train 1254, for example. She's put in 5 complaints and there's still no announcements, no signage made. In my own experience, besides having combative crew members, I've seen with the schedule changes, some trains get better, some trains get worse. I beg for a consistent experience. And again, I ask for the courtesy of a meeting for the Customer Advisory Board that's been waiting 3 years that you've given to other advocacy groups. I see no reason why, if Mr. Whitehoff is able to meet with and environmental
15
coalition
seconds remaining.
that the agency cannot provide a similar avenue to the 14 customer advisory board members who've been waiting 3 years for a meeting through no fault of their own. We went through an application process. If you don't meet with us, you're going to continue to have customer service issues. And I might add that you're empowering people who seem to be committed to engaging in retaliatory conduct because they feel that managers don't care and don't feel the need to listen to advocates, even ones they've selected in a process like this. Again, please reach out to us. Let's talk. Let's have a meaningful dialogue outside of the 3-minute constraint of the public comment period. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. The next public comment is coming from Bill Barron. Bill, your line is live and your time will now begin.
Thank you. My name is Bill Barron. I'm the state chair, transportation chair for the Sierra Club. I'd like to just echo the comments made by others regarding the microgrid project, but I'd specifically like to comment on Mr. Corbin's statement at the beginning of his talk that reliable and frequent service is important to attract ridership. And I'm mentioning this specifically in regard to the replacement service that was put in place for the DeCamp service in Montclair and Essex County. There's no weekend service. There's no off-peak service. The buses that are in service can't travel underneath the train trestles, particularly at Watchung Plaza. So a large part of the service area that was previously served by the DeCamp 66 and 33 is not being serviced. As a former rider, I'm retired now. I noted that late night service, weekend service on DeCamp was always full. The fact that there is no weekend, there's no evening service after 7 o'clock means that people cannot take the bus to New York to go to the theater, to go out to have dinner, to meet with friends. There's a large population of people, of adult children who live in the city and commute back to Montclair on holidays that used to take the DeCamp service. This is no longer available. It's incumbent upon New Jersey Transit to really replace the service that was previously done by DeCamp. That's important. I'd also like to talk about Ms. Geller's, or reemphasize Ms. Geller's comments regarding the alerts and the advisories. The Sierra Club has been meeting with Mr. Wyckoff for the past 3 years since we submitted our report to the board at your February 2020 meeting about the errors and inadequate public information that's available regarding service disruptions. And this really needs to be addressed by the board and needs to be addressed by President Corbett.
15 seconds remaining.
And, we'd like to work with you on a continuing basis to get the service advisories and alerts improved. Thank you.
Thank you. The next public comment is coming from Andy Weiss. Andy, your line is live and your time will now begin. Andy, your line is live. Please check your mute button.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Sorry about that. Good morning, board. I'm glad that the board finally submitted the customer advocate job description. You wasted years of our time for nothing. It's the same job description as like a year ago. I don't know. You just sat on it for a year. The customer advocate job description that you submitted is completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. The customer advocate job description is watered down to nothing by this incompetent board. Shame on all of you for submitting a watered down customer advocate job description that has eliminated real advocacy for NJ Transit riders. This board plots against NJ Transit riders and constantly lies. This board does not care about NJ Transit riders and does not want to hear our problems. Shame on all of you. This board is a nightmare for NJ Transit riders. Brian Wilton, General Counsel of NJ Transit, this job description does not match the law, does not match the legislation, Brian. It does not match the legislation. This is completely unacceptable. We will not accept this. We will not accept this at all. Please, Brian, work on this and give us a real job description that complies with the law, the legislation that was passed. This is completely unacceptable, Brian. We will not accept this. We will never accept this. We want a real advocate that rides with the riders, that has meetings with us. That's what the legislation really was all about. Senator Weinberg never imagined having such a watered-down customer advocate like this. Brian, please, as General Counsel of NJ Transit, please do your job. Please correct this job description that matches the law.
1 minute remaining.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next public comment is coming from Rachel Davis. Rachel, your line is live and your time will now begin.
Can you hear me? I know I always ask.
Yes, go ahead, Rachel.
Okay, great. Thank you. Rachel Dawn Davis, Public Policy and Justice Organizer for Water Spirit, a nonprofit spiritual ecology center sponsored by the Sisters of St. Joseph of Peace. I'm speaking on behalf of Water Spirit's thousands of members throughout the state, Northeast region, and across Mother Earth for 25 years. New Jersey Transit said at the top, you're a people-facing organization. I echo support for comments about rail workers who deserve wages and benefits compliant with life in the 21st century. Thanks also to those who spoke about inclusivity for those with disabilities and accessibility needs. We echo those previous comments as well. Pollution only exacerbates existing difficulty living and moving around New Jersey. We need prevention. A light rail was actually proposed back in 2004 when I was a student, but Exxon wanted more roads, and so it goes. We also urge Governor Murphy and his New Jersey Transit, y'all, to act on the findings of the Stratagen study. Best practices were also mentioned. So when New Jersey Transit specifically revises the request for proposals with a heartfelt intent to seek out specifically the most efficient renewable energy option, public health and long-term benefits will really be in mind. You're a large organization, and your impact has the potential to be world-renowned. New Jersey Transit Board must definitively abandon the original gas plant. Why not put leadership opportunity on yourselves and declare this today? Who wouldn't want to reduce risks and solid returns on investment tied with their legacy? And I will echo your silence on the Stratagen report is deafening, and we need answers. The proposed transit grid project and all of the other potentially polluting projects will accelerate end of life for all age groups living in the area, namely those who are of low or no income, living under the violence of poverty, redlining, and environmental racism. As a leader of sustainability
1 minute
in the
remaining.
state, I built the Global Warming Solutions Coalition that passed that first Global Warming Response Act that cared enough to put that 2050 marker at all there, and having green organizations with multiple types of commercial building stock, resulting in significant energy reduction and marketing opportunities. What leadership is a sustainability-focused committee doing to identify best practices throughout the country? Do you think about your children when making these decisions, leaving it up to bidders and more time? There is no time. Who do you answer to if not to those who have helped care enough to, again, pass this 2050 goal in the first place that doesn't exist anymore? Who do you answer to if not those who helped fund
15 seconds
and share independent research, focusing on a livable future for all children? May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and children all over New Jersey, including teachers who are charged with K-12 climate change education, need to see demonstrative leadership like this opportunity we continue to highlight. Please connect with us. We offer help. Thank you.
Thank you. The next public comment is coming from Matt Smith. Matt, your line is live and your time will now begin.
Yes, good morning. Matt Smith, New Jersey Director with Food and Water Watch. And I want to echo the speakers before me in saying that the workers who have been without a contract need a contract and need the support of the transit board and governor to get a new contract in place. And my main comments are focused on the transit grid project, but I want to take a moment to recall Governor Murphy's commitment when running for governor and winning a first term, said that he would fix the particularly the budgetary issues facing New Jersey Transit if it killed him. Instead, what we see is the same New Jersey Transit, the same budget problems, and the same proposal to build a gas plant that would kill many of us. Fossil fuels and the burning of fossil fuels, as proposed by New Jersey Transit's transit grid power plant, will in fact kill New Jersey residents due to the pollution and the public health demonstrated and scientifically proven deadly public health impacts from combusting fossil fuels. That doesn't even mention the increase in climate change that it would contribute to and the deaths related from that. So let's take stock of where all of the governor's commitments are. We still have a Department of Transportation commissioner and transit board chair who is pushing to spend $10 billion on a disastrous highway expansion project that will worsen climate change and environmental injustice in low-income communities. A board chair who continues against the science and against our latest study to speak out publicly without ever providing any sources, and in direct contradiction to Transit Governor Murphy's commitment as to why renewable energy won't work for the transit grid project.
1 minute remaining.
We have a former Hess Oil manager who's in charge of implementing New Jersey Transit and Governor Murphy's commitment to redesign the power plant away from gas and to 100% clean renewable energy. Hess Oil was one of the main companies who brought fracking to the Northeast and bought up land in the Delaware River Basin to try and frack the drinking water source for millions of New Jersey families. The only two board members who have ever publicly spoken out and shown real courage and independence are no longer on the New Jersey Transit Board. New Jersey Transit continues to invest hundreds of millions of dollars in new long-term fossil fuel infrastructure, including diesel buses, diesel locomotives, and related infrastructure. New Jersey Transit does not have a constitutionally dedicated source of revenue, forcing it to continue to rob capital funds, pay for operating expenses, and now New Jersey Transit is facing a budget cliff with no solution in sight. Governor Murphy needs to right the ship immediately. This board needs to be a part of that process, show the courage needed, say no to the gas plant once and for all. It is heading down the right track, and unless we intervene now, we will get a death-causing gas plant right in one of the most polluted areas of the country. Enough is enough. 100% renewable transit grid now.
Thank you. The next public comment is coming from Richard Grant. Richard, your line is live and your time will now begin.
Rich Grant Hackensack. NJ Transit once sponsored a climate resilience report. Maybe you're thinking, that doesn't sound like us. A report which is not the same thing as a sustainability report. I'll now read its objectives. The goal of this project is for First Environment to assist NJ Transit in determining the potential vulnerability and risk, as well as projected climate impacts on NJ Transit stationary assets that include rail, structures, and buildings, and to develop cost-effective resilience strategies so NJ Transit can protect those assets from negative impacts in the future. NJ Transit should also use this information to protect its rolling stock, trains, buses, etc. from severe weather. The assessment activities in this study provide information for NJ Transit leadership to facilitate planning over the 5, 10, and 20-year horizons. First Environment also examined the 50-year planning horizon because the impacts of extreme weather continue to increase exponentially beyond the 20-year period. In this phase, we systematically reviewed all stationary assets in their entirety and provided viable strategies for NJ Transit to consider in developing capital and operating budget actions to avoid current and future risk and impact. This report can then be used by NJ Transit as a screening tool to perform a more detailed review or a criticality analysis of each specific asset, rail, structures, and buildings most at risk. The assessment provides NJ Transit with indicators of risk so that NJ Transit can prioritize the criticality of its risk assets. The study was awarded in 2011, ahead of flooding from Hurricane Irene washing out rail lines and roadways. The final report, Resilience of NJ Transit Assets to Climate Impacts, has a June 2012 release date. What happened to that report? Was the information used to protect NJ Transit rolling stock from severe weather? 4 months later, Hurricane Sandy made landfill, and a third of an NJ Transit rail fleet, 70 locomotives and 273 rail cars parked in low-lying rail yards, were damaged by the flooding. What happened to the report? Did NJ Transit consider strategies in developing capital and operating budget actions to avoid future risk? At the board's April meeting, we learned that NJ Transit would be spending $160 million to restore Newark Penn Station to its former glory, its full grandeur, befitting its status as one of the
15 seconds remaining.
Gateways to the state and city. If anyone wants to read the June 2012 report before the next high-impact, low-frequency weather event drops, you could access Resilience of NJ Transit Assets to Climate Impacts online at the New Jersey State Library to view or download the PDF file. Thank you.
Thank you. There are 2 public comments left in queue. The next public comment is coming from Anna Leone. Anna, your line is live and your time will now begin.
Hi. Good morning. Well, my name is Anna Leone and I live in Bergen County, and I wanted to thank the members of the board for their time. And I would also like to take this opportunity to thank, I don't know her last name, but Trish of the executive office for passing on some information, which resulted in New Jersey Transit, several executives calling me to discuss the topic of access links for about an hour a few months ago. So I wanted to take the opportunity to thank everyone. I know there have been improvements with Access Link, but we still have a long ways to go. I also wanted to thank Mr. Corbett for announcing the fact that there is a new pilot program with Access Link, Uber, and Lyft called Rider's Choice. I do not know much about the program, but I look forward to finding out. And he had also mentioned that that program hopefully would decrease cost and increase efficiency, which was one of the topics that I wanted to talk about with respect to the existing scheduling of rides with Access Link logistically. Still does not make sense geographically. For example, on a ride, my destination was right there, but instead we had to go pick someone else up, and it took us an hour out of the way and then another hour coming back when I could have jumped out the window to get to my destination, literally. So that cost me 2 hours in lost travel time, and also costing money, gas money, and so forth. So hopefully the pilot program will eliminate that. The second thing I wanted to briefly mention was the virtual assistant that Access Link has. It does not work. It has not worked since day one. That needs to be yanked off and redone. The virtual assistant does not assist customers. If you have a travel pickup time between 9 and 9:30, and now it's 10:30 a.m., and you call the virtual assistant, it will tell you that your pickup is 9 a.m. It does not give any further information. It repeats the same information over and over again, even if you say agent. So it does not process the word no. It doesn't understand the word no. And also, in the beginning, you have to tell it your password, your ID number, and then it repeats it back to you. Is this correct? Answer yes or no. That's a complete waste of time. Just enter the password, enter the ID. If it's wrong, then it should come back and state it's wrong. But instead of this assistant helping people so you don't have to talk to agents, it's doing the exact opposite. And I don't know if Transit is aware of this. If Access Link has mentioned it to Transit, because they have repeatedly been getting phone calls each and every day. The system does not work. And lastly, just the expansion of routes. I know I had mentioned this before. You have New Jersey Transit commuter buses traveling by medical institutions, hospitals, Pascack Valley Hospital. It passes by there, but it will not stop.
Thank you. The next public comment is coming from Jason Anthony. Jason, your line is live and your time will now begin. Jason, your line is live and your time has begun.
Yes, good morning, NJT board. Jason Anthony here speaking this morning, close by to Sunnyside Yard. One thing that I want to address is congestion pricing, and New Jersey elected officials are speaking against this. We should remember that New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut represent one region, and Kevin Corbett hasn't said anything regarding congestion pricing, following the same script that Governor Murphy and some elected officials in the Garden State have done. So, if you guys are not supporting congestion pricing, we are going to ban New Jersey Transit Rail Operations Inc. equipment in the Sunnyside Yard, because I'm getting sick and tired of the Garden State being selfish while New York City has to pay the bills. It is time that New Jersey gets together with New York and Connecticut to benefit our region, because we should remember both tunnels on the Hudson River and the East River are the artery of the Northeast region, that goes all the way north from Boston, all the way south to Washington, D.C. And regarding the homeless situation, something has to be done in New York Penn Station, Hoboken, Newark, and Trenton. Why is it that New Jersey Transit Corporation hasn't done anything regarding this? And regarding accessibility, there has to be clear signage if the elevator is not working. Because if the MTA is doing it, why not New Jersey Transit? And also, we need a customer service advocate, and there has to be NJT Transit Cares for those customers that need assistance regarding accessibility. So that's all for me for this month, and I hope that you guys consider a Zoom option, because teleconference is no good for those who have disability issues that want to address them in the NJT board. So that's all for this month. Thank you very much.
Did have one more final comment in queue. It's coming from Kaylee McAllister. Kaylee, your line is live and your time will now begin.
Good morning, everyone. I wanted to speak in February, but I'm afraid I didn't have 4 hours to remain on hold and was disconnected by our operator in March after remaining on hold for an eternity. While I appreciate all the people who called to oppose the Transit Grid project, allowing 50 people to monopolize the public comment period for several hours on the same topic and keeping other members of the public from sharing their comments seems a little unfair. I hope the board will consider a different way to manage this process so all members of the public have a fair opportunity to share their comments. I just want to voice my opposition to this customer advocate position. This will just be another overpaid government employee who, unless they have more authority than the CEO, will just be another high-paid report writer that will just become another target of personal attacks from the likes of Twitter trolls like Adam Reich and Andy Weiss. Andy Weiss has actually threatened his small group of followers that he would block them from following if they didn't call into the board meeting to ask about the customer advocate. Andy, get a life or get a job. Andy Weiss is just a hateful, lonely individual who doesn't want the customer advocate because he thinks it will benefit the customer. He wants another name he can add to his Twitter feed of personal attacks. His profile clearly states his objective. It says, I sit around all day and complain about New Jersey Transit. Nothing he says should be taken seriously from this lonely man. I would prefer that you put the salary toward the hiring of 3 more bus drivers that will actually make a positive difference for customers using New Jersey Transit. Thank you for listening, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. There were no other public comments at this time.
Thank you, public speakers. Are there any board member comments? Board Member Gordon?
Thank you. I'd like to speak about the Stratogen report. We as a board cannot talk about an upcoming procurement issue, but there's been a lot of focus on the Stratogen report, and I have read it in some detail and have some thoughts about it. I should tell you, just as background, I've spent much of my career conducting financial analyses and evaluating the viability of projects. So I was, for much of my private sector career, was a management consultant in the private sector. And as many of you know, for the last 5 years, I was immersed in the economics of energy and clean energy as a member of the Board of Public Utilities. And I like to say that just to align myself with the views of many in this room, that you know, I have devoted my career in recent years and intend to do so in the future in focusing on addressing the issues of climate change and promoting renewable energy. However, I believe the Stratogen report, based on my personal assessment, is greatly flawed. The authors, based in Berkeley, say that they're taking a high-level view of this issue. I think it is so high level it bears little resemblance to the real world in New Jersey. I'm also troubled by what I consider a false comparison that's been established. The analysis assumes, as many in this room do, that it's a gas-fired plant or nothing, and that's certainly not my expectation. I note, beginning on page 1, a footnote which points out that the solar energy allocated to the proposed Stratogen project would require 300 to 350 acres or 0.55 square miles. It goes on to say on page 11 in a lengthy footnote, and by the way, whenever you see a report in which large portions are just footnotes with disclaimers and explanations of assumptions, I've always considered that a red flag. But on page 11, there's a note that Stratogen's analysis did not assess or include potential costs associated with the acquisition of land for solar. And it goes on to say, but don't worry, New Jersey Transit has plenty of land, and Empower New Jersey has identified thousands of acres. Don't worry about it. Well, has anyone been to Hudson County recently? The highest density, probably on the planet, rivals Calcutta. Where are you going to find this kind of land for solar in this area? Has anyone seen the prairies of Hudson County? I mean, it's just not feasible. Just as a point of comparison, the borough of Kearney is 8.8 square miles. So you're talking about 6% of the land being somehow devoted to solar. I'm wondering how the taxpayers of Kearney will react to the loss of that tax base. This is just one example of how the proposals being made, you know, are just not going to fly in the real world. Let's turn to the numbers. There are some charts here which point to the financial benefits in terms of market profit of the renewable energy plant versus a gas plant. Basic problem is that it appears as if The prices for gas are based on spot prices. It's not really fully clear in the text. But here's how the real world works. Organizations like PSE&G and other utilities lock in gas prices, ideally at a low level, by hedging through futures contracts. They're not buying gas on the spot market, and they have long-term contracts for supply. So that makes me believe that the financial benefits of the proposed Stratogen plan, as I'll call it, are exaggerated. There's also a reference to the avoided environmental costs, which are always very large numbers. Now, the report points out that, in fact, the social cost of carbon was used in the governor's energy master plan. But this is a number that has a great deal of variance. I think the latest is $42 a ton now, but it's all over the place. It is a good analysis for showing the magnitude of our potential, of our health costs and potential other costs related to climate change. But it's not the kind of number that you use for making a financial decision. There are also references to the technology being available, and several projects in California are cited. That's really not enough for us to make this kind of investment. I would point out that California is really not a model of energy policy. I would just say that our obligation as board members is to provide for the safety of our riders and to protect the interests of our taxpayers. And I don't believe that the analysis presented in this report gives us would justify support for at least the project described in this report. Where I think we should go is, and I hope we will go, is we'll select a project that will give us the best technology at the time, minimize climate impact, and be designed in a way so that as the technological changes occur, and they are coming with lightning speed, that we can introduce those new technologies into the project. Whether it's perhaps a green hydrogen-fired plant or fuel cells. But what we need to do is design something that will accommodate that over time. Let me just close with just my own views about what I think are your misplaced priorities. You're focusing on this one project. If there is a threat to advancing renewable energy in this state and in this country, it's something called the interconnection problem. We could build a project of the kind that you want, and we could wait years to plug it into the grid because we don't have a grid that can accommodate that. We have out-of-date processes. That should be the focus of our attention right now. Fortunately, I see Washington moving in that direction, but that's where we should be focused to just try to facilitate the advances as they occur. And I will close there. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excuse me, through the chair. You please have to respect the comments of board members. Everyone was given ample opportunity to speak and then some, and no one interrupted you when you speak. Please allow the same courtesy to you.
Thank you. Are there any additional board member comments? Okay.
So Brian made his remarks, but I'm going to tell you, as I'm sitting here, I received a text from someone who's listening to the meeting. And the text said, I don't know how you can sit there and take insult after insult. I don't know why there is a difference with this board than in any other board that I sit on in the state of New Jersey, where they understand that from the dais, we don't respond to your public comments. There is no board that does that. There is not one of us on this board that is fully knowledgeable of every detail of everything that goes on in this agency to properly respond with all of the facts. And I believe the staff regularly responds when that is required of them. I really don't care if you insult me. I don't care if you ask for my resignation. I don't care if you tell me that we had a gentleman a few months ago that said worms should crawl through Kevin's head. That is the kind of talk that causes this board to stay silent. You want quality people to come here to be a customer advocate? Sadly, I agree with the one speaker who said, why would they? Because you know what? They'll never be good enough. Because nothing this agency does is truly ever good enough for this group of individuals. So keep coming here. Keep telling me to resign. Keep telling the governor to fire me. That's okay with me. Because I don't only serve this group of people. I serve the 9 million people that work for that live in the state of New Jersey. All of them. And that is what I balance. So keep coming here and truly keep asking for that, because the public appearance you make is no different than the public appearance that you think I make. And that is that you don't treat this board, I don't care about respect, but I do expect courtesy. And no one up here throws tomatoes at you and tells you you're wrong. And if Bob Gordon has an opinion, he's entitled to that, just as you are entitled to yours. We talk about the fact that public comment goes on so long here that you wonder why board members don't comment on items. These people are uncompensated. They have to go to jobs. They take this as a public service. And in this moment, I look at Evan Weiss, who's probably one of the most honorable government servants that I've met in my career, and puts people first at everything he does. I've worked with him for 5.5 years, and I know that to be true. But he's been here, is this your 4th meeting, 3rd meeting? I hope he stays. I hope he doesn't resign, because this isn't productive. So you don't like the microgrid process, I understand that. Let's be clear. If we don't build one, that money doesn't go to New Jersey Transit to spend on other things. It goes right back to Washington, D.C. We don't use it for another capital project. We don't use it for operating expenses. If you want to know how the government process works, they reimburse us. They don't write us this big check and we give it to the treasurer and they put it in the bank, and then heck, we do whatever we want with it. That's not how this works. That money will go right back to Washington, D.C. So erase yourself of the thought that that money stays here and we can use it for BLEW, because we can't. Okay, that's number one. As far as BLEW goes, we have 13 unions here. 12 of them have settled. Just going to say that and leave it there. But at the end of the day, Brian is right. Every board member on this dais deserves their own opinion, whatever it may be. And we are not technically obligated to share it from this dais. But as a board chair, and all the board, Trust Fund Authority, South Jersey Transportation, New Jersey Turnpike, it is an entirely different mantra, and they all serve the public, and we all serve the 9 million residents of New Jersey, and we will continue to do it to the very best of our ability, whether you believe it or not. With that, Suzanne Mack, are you available to provide the advisory report? And she's here today, so thank you for coming. And Suzanne, if you would not be insulted, I must step out for a moment. So please continue.
Yes,
I'm sure
please.
the board will tell me about what you reported.
Sure. Good morning. Most of you know me. I'm Suzanne Mack. I'm the chair of the Passenger Advisory Group for North Jersey, and I have been attending mostly by Zoom and Teams for the past several months. But our last advisory board meeting was actually in Trenton. It was our joint meeting with Kevin and staff, and Anna Marie Ganella of Rosado actually gave that report last month to you. Since we don't meet again until June, I was going to come and just discuss some of the agenda items. But I do have to say that I am pleased that I came today because I do believe you have integrity. So if someone could represent the passengers advisory groups, we feel that you all have integrity, and it's definitely counterproductive for advocates, and everybody has their opinion, and everybody should have their opinion, but to constantly, and I do attend all the meetings, either online, to barrage public servants who have given, you have other places to be, you have other interests that you could be working on. What I have learned about the board over time as an advocate is that people come and I take notes, and I could tell you for eons in on what some of the issues have been, but some of the issues several years ago was justice for Mr. Grady from Patterson. Couldn't discuss it up front. Everybody came every month, and the issue got settled. Then it was the Middlesex County, the electrification advocates who were protesting that. Your board could not discuss it up front. People came every month. The staff and the board members went back, and the issue got resolved. I have been very interested in the transit grid issue. I am a resident of Hudson County, so therefore it's very, I know a lot about it, and I have watched it. I have watched people come, and I have seen the board not be able to answer it, but I have to believe that behind the scenes that I thank former Senator Gordon for speaking on the report, but normally, just as Chairwoman said, you can't really make this a dialogue where you debate it back and forth in the public sector. But I think advocates have to go back and look at the track record of how are the issues been resolved that have been brought to the board. And I think if you see that, you'll see exactly what Chairwoman said is that you may not have all the answers collectively here to say publicly, but I believe that you do go back in your committee assignments, you go back and you research these issues, you instruct Kevin and his staff to address these issues, and I think that's what the advocates that I work with see. So although I believe that everybody has a right, I do believe that the public board meetings, I was listening 2 or 3 meetings ago, and we had 14 speakers on the expansion of the New Jersey Turnpike. And I said to myself, it had nothing to do with New Jersey Transit. 14 speakers. You got to your work after 10 o'clock that night. So you're a multi-billion-dollar corporation that has multi-million dollars in decisions that have to be made that impact the whole state, and you don't get to your agenda until your voting items until 10 o'clock at night. And that's in my opinion, it's a failed attempt at advocacy because you can't get your work done, and you do want the public input. And I think there are ways to do that. I was asked by my counter chair to bring up a few points today since she is not here. And one was she wanted to thank Kevin for the expansion of the routes and services on Sunday. As you know, there was a public hearing both on, I think it was March 7th and March 9th, about the issue of expanding the services to Sunday, which had been originally put in because of COVID. And we all believe that is a very good action if you take it today. One of the other things is Access Link. I'm thrilled that you just said that you're going to go to Lyft and that other thing that I take. But what's the other thing, Kevin? Uber. So I'm taking a lot of Ubers lately. So Access Link is a mandate, an unfunded mandate for the agency to service our disabled population. But Access Link has to continue to exist, even at the high rates that it is, because there will always be a population that will need wheelchair-bound services and handicap services. However, as most of you know, I have connections to the invisible disabilities in New Jersey, people who actually could take Lyft and could take Uber because they cannot take transit, but they could take these services. And right now, we don't have a solution for Access Link. It's just the prices have gone up over time, and we can't provide the services to all of our residents that require it. So I am very pleased to see that this pilot program is going to take place. I had a lot of other things to talk about, but I think you've already had a long public input session. I will say that I was not aware of the transit union issue. What I can say is that in every conversation we all have, and we talk to Transit has always valued its employees. Transit is, to me, is not a top-down organization where only the people on the ninth floor are important, because your goal is to provide services out in the community. I take the buses in Hudson County. I take the light rail in Hudson County. I do that purposely in order to be a rider. But those are the people that this organization is made up of. So although we do not advise you on personnel issues, I will be talking to my board, and I hope there is a favorable conclusion for that one union that has not settled. And I'm confident that you will do everything you can to have that happen. I have not been here in a long time. I'm very pleased that I could come, and as I said to the chairwoman while she was out of the room, it's a privilege to be here with you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Board Member Giblin, will you please present the Operations and Customer Service Committee report?
The Operations and Customer Service Committee received an update on trends, analysis, and actions for rail, bus, light rail, and access link. The committee also received an update on the cost of service. That concludes my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Board Member Giblin. Board Member Marocco, would you please present the Administration Committee report?
The Administration Committee received a financial update. This included a summary of operating results compared to previous year's comparable period and fiscal year 23 budget, 12-month farebox revenue compared to pre-COVID, major balance sheet items, and federal COVID-19 relief grant drawdown summary. Additional information was provided as part of the agenda materials, including the cost of service key performance indicators, 12-month farebox recovery, history of vacancies, attritions and hires, ridership and revenue, and a monthly report, or a monthly budget to actual comparison for March 2023. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Board Member Marocco. At this time, I'll call on President and CEO Corbett to present the action items.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd now like to introduce Mike Kilcoyne, Senior Vice President, Service Transit and General Manager, Bus Operations, to present Board Item 2305-24. Mike.
Thank you, President Corbett. We are presenting for approval Item 2305-24, proposed Sunday expansion of bus routes number 26, Irvington to Elizabeth, number 58, Elizabeth to Kenilworth, number 115, Rahway to New York, number 154, Fort Lee, Palisades Park to New York, number 412, Sewell, Glassboro, Philadelphia, number 455, Cherry Hill Mall, Woodbury, Paulsboro, number 457, Camden to Morristown Mall, number 603, Mercer Mall, Hamilton Square, Hamilton Marketplace, and number 618, Ewing, Hamilton, Mercer County College. Authorization is requested to take all actions necessary to operate Sunday service on bus routes number 26, 58, 115, 154, 412, 457, 603, 619, and expand the schedule of bus route number 455 on Sundays. We ask for your approval of Item 2305-24.
May I have a motion to approve Board Item 2305-24? May I have a second?
Second, Giblin.
Is there any discussion on this motion?
I just wanted to thank Mike and the New Jersey Transit Board for the much-needed investment. I see a lot of these routes are in South Jersey, so thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Doshi. Anyone else? Hearing none, Board Secretary, please take roll.
Roll call vote. Board Member Doshi?
Yes.
Board Member Gordon?
Yes.
Board Member Marocco?
Yes.
Board Member Medina?
Yes.
Board Member Weiss?
Yes.
Board Member Keenan?
Yes.
Board Member Giblin?
Yes.
Chair Gutierrez-Cachetti?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Great, thank you. I'd now like to introduce Anthony Greco, Senior Vice President, Communications and Customer Experience, to present Board Item 2305-25. Anthony.
Thank you, President Corbett. We are presenting for approval Item 2305-25, Regulations, Proposed Initiation of the Rulemaking Process for NJAC 1686, Advertising Standards. Authorization is requested to take all actions necessary to initiate the rulemaking process for NJAC 1686, Advertising Standards, consistent with the board item and Exhibit A. We ask for your approval of Item 2305-25.
May I have a motion to approve Item 2305-25? May I have a second? Any discussion on the motion? Yes, board member.
Chair. I noticed in the background materials, there was a chart showing booked revenue by, I assume, fiscal year. There was a significant decline in fiscal year '23. Can I assume that was COVID-related?
It was, board member, yes.
Thanks.
Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Megan, please take roll call vote.
Roll call vote, Board Member Doshi?
Yes.
Board Member Gordon?
Yes.
Board Member Morocco?
Yes.
Board Member Medina?
Yes.
Board Member Weiss?
Yes.
Board Member Keenan? Board Member Giblin?
Yes.
Chair Gutierrez Scacchetti?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Anthony.
Just a second. Just for the record, Board Member Medina is recused from the next item and will not comment or vote on the item.
Thank you. I'd now like to introduce Jackie Stanford, Acting Senior Vice President, Chief Financial Officer, and Treasurer, to present Board Item 2305-26. Jackie?
Thank you, President Corbett. We are presenting for approval item number 2305-26, selection of provider for administration of self-funded dental plans. Authorization is requested to enter into a contract with Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey for dental plan administration. This contract will provide dental health care benefits to active and retired New Jersey Transit employees and their eligible dependents beginning July 1st, 2023, for a period of 3 years with administrative fees not to exceed $310,073 per year, plus 5% for contingencies, and 2 one-year renewal options, subject to the availability of funds. We ask for your approval of item 2305-26.
May I have a motion to approve item 2305-26?
So moved, Dana.
May I have a second? Any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, Megan, please take roll call vote.
Roll call vote, Board Member Doshi?
Yes.
Board Member Gordon?
Yes.
Board Member Morocco? Board Member Wise?
Yes.
Board Member Keenan?
Yes.
Board Member Giblin?
Yes.
Chair Gutierrez Scacchetti?
Yes.
Motion carried.
The next item, 2305-27, is for the schedule of board meetings for 2024, 2024 fiscal year, as well as for the appointment of Megan as continue as our board secretary. I'm going to modify this motion, but if I believe the rules is correct, we have to move this motion, second it, and I can modify it in discussion. So may I have a motion to move item 2305-27?
So moved, Dana.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion from anyone else? What I'd like to do is split this motion out based on the comments provided by one of our speakers today, and look to modify the schedule such that we can accommodate committee meetings in December and February and January, and make sure that we still have our board meetings as appropriate. I think it's best to just, for right this moment, not try to amend the schedule on the floor, but give the staff the opportunity to look at it and make sure that they can take the comments of the speaker into consideration, so that public comment is not disturbed, or the committee meetings aren't disturbed during that process. So the motion I would offer is to move Megan's reappointment as the board secretary for fiscal year '24, but to eliminate for today voting on the board schedule for fiscal '24. With that amended motion, can I have with that amendment, may I have a motion? May I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none? Megan?
Roll call vote, Board Member Doshi?
Yes.
Board Member Gordon?
Yes.
Board Member Morocco?
Yes.
Board Member Medina?
Yes.
Board Member Weiss?
Yes.
Board Member Keenan?
Yes.
Board Member Giblin?
Yes.
Chair Gutierrez Scacchetti?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Before we adjourn to executive session, I want to let the public know that we will return to adjourn the meeting, but no further business will be conducted. May I have a motion to enter into executive session to discuss personnel matters, contract negotiations, the status of pending and anticipated litigation, and matters falling into within the attorney-client privilege, including but not limited to our corporate insurance program annual renewal. May I have a motion?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Giblin, second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Megan, please take roll call vote.
Roll call vote, Board Member Doshi?
Yes.
Board Member Gordon?
Yes.
Board Member Morocco? Yes. Board Member Medina,
Yes.
Board Member Weiss,
Yes.
Board Member Kane,
Yes.
Board Member Gilliland,
Yes.
Chair Gutierrez Scacchetti.
Yes.
Motion carried.
I hereby reconvene the open session board meetings. Megan, please take roll.
Roll call, Board Member Doshi.
Here.
Board Member Gordon.
Here.
Board Member Marocco.
Here.
Board Member Medina.
Here.
Board Member Weiss.
Here.
Board Member Gibbling.
Here.
Chair Gutierrez Scacchetti.
Here. Since there is no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn the board meeting?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much.